This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning. Are you able to hear me? Okay, what we are discussing in the previous class. Anyone can tell me what we are discussing? Yes. So yesterday we created attribute view. So let me quickly do again. Select the package, right click, new attribute view. So attribute views are used to model the master data. And in attribute view, there are no types. We have subtypes. They are standard type derived, and the default subtype is standard. So semantics and data foundation are the default nodes. And we also understood we are able to drag. Anyone can tell me in data foundation what can be used as a source and how many sources can be used. Yes, only tables and one or more than one can be used. So at the moment I am keeping only one table, and if you want to select any column, just do left click, then you are able to see here the column, and also the type is defaulted with the serial number. And even if I select this, you can also see the name is defaulted in here, and save and activate. But anyone can guess what may be this error and why this error is appearing. What is the reason for this error? Anyone can guess. So why this error is appearing? Insufficient privileges not authorized. So usually we may think HANA user has no authorization because we logged with HANA user and we are doing all these things with HANA user. But actually speaking, HANA user is a developer user. He already have all the authorizations. Actually, HANA modeling is meant only for selection of data. HANA modeling is meant only for extraction of data. So it is only used for selection of data. HANA modeling is only so if it is selection means it's a select authorization on this table means schema. But actually speaking, HANA user only created this schema. He has all the authorization on the schema. So HANA user is able to see the schema, he is able to create tables, he is able to change, he is able to do delete. So he has everything, he has all the authorizations. Now, then why this error is coming? Because if HANA user has all the authorization on the schema and table, why this error is appearing? Because there is a standard user or system user sysrepo. So sysrepo, whenever we do save and activate, these buttons are driven by standard user sysrepo. Here we need to understand one thing. Whenever we create any user, automatically schema is also created with the same name. For example, HANA user is the user. If you go to the security folder, users, HANA user is the user. We are talking about this sysrepo underscore sys underscore repo. Actually, this button is driven by this standard user sysrepo because whenever you do save and activate, this button is driven by this standard user. Same like if you schedule a job in the background, how batch user runs. If you schedule a job in the background, how batch user runs the jobs in the background. Same way here the sysrepo is the standard user or the system user, which whenever you do save and activate, these buttons are driven by this user. Now, if you go to the schema, HANA user has already authorizations. So what I'm talking is whenever we create any user, automatically with the same name, you can also find a schema. And also you can find sysrepo. See, so whenever user is created with the same name, schema is created, but vice versa is not true. Vice versa is not true means if you create schema, users are not created with the same schema name automatically. If you create user with the same name, schema is created, but if you create schema with the same name, users are not created. So what we understood is sysrepo is a user, standard user is system user. When you save and activate, sysrepo is expecting authorization on the schema. What kind of authorization? It is only select authorization. Because HANA modeling is meant only for selection of data. So it is expecting select authorization. Sysrepo is expecting select authorization on the schema. So for that, if you go to the SQL console, grant means give, select means select permission, on schema. Here the schema name is to. So we are giving select permission on the schema to sysrepo. Grant means give, select means select permission, on schema to sysrepo. We are giving select permission on schema to sysrepo. So if we execute, you see statement grant select on schema to sysrepo successfully executed in 38 milliseconds. What we are doing is grant means giving, select means select permission, on schema to sysrepo user. So giving select permission on schema to this user. So we are giving select permission on this schema to this user. Now let us go to the attribute view and activate. So if you want to do check window perspective, reset perspective, so that you are able to see all the messages, but it is activated. Why? Because you see the difference between here AT view 1 and here AT view 2. If it is inactive, you see like this. If it is active, you see like this. And also you can see here activation successful. And to display the data, you just right click and data preview here. You can do right click and data preview from here, or else you can by beside this magnifier, so open data preview. Anything you can do. So select this view, right click data preview. Another error we are getting, that is data preview is not possible. Object is either inactive or broken. This is why, because when you do save and activate, sysrepo is expecting, when you do save and activate, sysrepo is expecting select permission on the schema, select permission on the schema. But when you preview the data, it is also expecting with grant option. So what is that? So we have already given grant select on schema. Grant select on schema, schema name to sysrepo. So we are giving select permission on the schema to this user. So with this, sysrepo has select permission on the schema. So we are able to activate it. But if you want to display the data, sysrepo is also expecting with grant option. So we need to understand what is with grant option. If you give select permission on the schema to the user, if you give select permission on the schema to the user, this user is able to select the data. This user is able to see this schema. He has the select permission. So we were able to activate. It means sysrepo is able to see the tables in this schema. He is able to see this schema. In case if sysrepo also want to give the same select permission to other users, he cannot do until and unless we give with grant option. So till here we are giving select permission to sysrepo on the schema via sys 1700, and sysrepo can log in and see this schema like HANA user is seeing. For example, HANA user is seeing this schema now. If sysrepo logs into the HANA modeling perspective in HANA Studio or Eclipse, sysrepo cannot see the schema until and unless we give select permission on the schema to the sysrepo user. But we have already given. Now sysrepo can log in and able to see this schema. But the thing is, sysrepo cannot give with grant option. Sysrepo cannot give. Sysrepo cannot give select permission to other users until and unless we add with grant option. Now, whenever we add with the grant option, now sysrepo is able to see the schema, and also sysrepo is able to give select permission on the schema to other users. So let me execute now. You can see now. So now let us see whether we are able to see the data. So before, when we see the data, we got error. Now we are able to see. Right click, data preview. So here what we need to understand is the prerequisite or mandatory to create not only attribute view, whatever we discussed now, this is generic one, this is for all the modeling views. This is the generic one, and this is for all the modeling views. So the prerequisite or mandate to create any modeling view is the standard user, system user, sysrepo should have authorization on the schema, grant select with grant option. The prerequisite or mandatory to create any modeling view is sysrepo should have authorization on the schema, grant select with grant option. Sysrepo should have authorization on the schema, grant select with grant option. Let me tell you again, the prerequisite or mandatory to create any modeling view, whether it is attribute view or analytical view or calculation view, sysrepo should have authorization on the schema. Schema means, let's say you used only table 1, which is from YS 1700. For example, you also have table 2, table 3, but whatever schemas are there, so sysrepo should have authorization on those schemas, grant select with the grant option, then only we can create the modeling view, whether it is attribute view or analytical view or calculation view. We have given grant select with grant option permission, right? Is it SQL or UI option? Whatever we have given, right? This one. Do you think it is through SQL or it is through navigation or UI? Yes, it is through SQL. Now we can do this also through navigation or from UI. So what we will do is, if I go sysrepo, in the object privileges, using this filter option, if you look at YSS 1700, because see, we have given select permission on the schema to this user sysrepo, that's why it is there. And also you can see here a lot of things inside all these things, but here we selected this checkbox, that's why grant select with grant option is there. So I am just unselecting this. What means I am reverting this and saving. Now if you go back and if you just do save and activate, now there is an error, insufficient privileges not authorized. Now can anyone tell me what is the reason for this error and how to rectify this error? We have just done, right? We have just discussed this.
We need to give select authorization to OSC 1700 sys repo.
Yeah, exactly. So the reason is the standard user sysrepo should have authorization on the schema, like select authorization on the schema. So we do this like grant select on schema name to the user sysrepo. Again, when we preview the data, we will get error. Then we also included with grant option. Now, whatever we have done, this is done through UI SQL till now. This is, if you do this, we can activate, and again we get error while previewing the data. Then we do this, we can preview the data. But whatever this is done, this is through SQL code. We can also do the same thing through UI. So what we do now, we go sysrepo and we go to the, because we are going to do the same thing through navigation now, UI. So we go to the sysrepo user. So using this insert, and also we should go to this object privileges tab. So double click the user, go to the security folder users, double click the user, and here in the object privileges, using this insert button, using this insert button, add YSS 1700. Now this is the schema. This is the schema. So we added this. Now here I am selecting this checkbox. It means grant select. If you want with grant option, you should select the first radio button. If you want to select, you should select the first radio button. I am not selecting the first radio button now, just like activate. Okay, now let us go. It means we have given select permission. Now if you go and activate, now we are able to activate. But when you preview the data, you can't, because this report is expecting also with grant option. So go to object privileges, because we already added. So you can search here by giving the schema name. See, you can see, and you just select this radio button with the grant option. Now activate. So now you can go to AT view to on right click and data preview. We are able to see the data as well. So as a conclusion, if you want to create any modeling view, whether it is an attribute view or analytical view or calculation view, the standard user sysrepo should have authorization on the schema like grant select with the grant option. Grant select with the grant option. Is it clear, everyone? Any questions? Can I get responses from everyone? Is it clear? So the question is like this: what is the prerequisite or mandatory to create any modeling view, whether it is attribute view or analytical view or calculation view? So the answer is sysrepo should have authorization on the schema, grant select with grant option. And also in real time, we have only one schema where you find all the standard tables and custom tables. Usually, if you go to your SAP system with the same system of HANA database, if you go system status, HDB, here the owner is nothing but schema. In this owner, in this schema, we are able to find all the standard tables and custom tables. In this owner, we are able to find all the standard tables and custom tables. So if you go system status, this owner is nothing but schema, where you are able to find all the standard tables and custom tables. This here we are able to find all standard tables and custom tables. So we use the same schema for our HANA modeling purpose. But in any case, we need to double check with your HANA admin. Is this the schema or some other schema is there? Okay, now another thing what we need to understand here. Till now you understood sysrepo is the user. Default it is a user, because if you have a user with the same name, schema is there. But if you have schema with the same name, user is not there. Okay. Now this is the user. Default, this is a user. Now I am going to explain another standard schema. It's a sysbic. We have another standard schema. It is a sysbic. So sysbic is a standard schema. Sysbic is a standard schema or system schema where you find whatever modeling view we create, right? Whatever modeling view you create, whether it is attribute view or analytical view or calculation view, whatever modeling views are created under the package, all these views are stored under specific schema under column view folder with the package name / view name. Whatever modeling view we created under content folder, whatever modeling view we created under content folder, under package, whether it is attribute view or analytical view or calculation view, all these views are stored under specific schema under column view folder with the package name / view name. So if I go to this column view folder, if I give this package name, see, we are able to see YSS 1700 P1 and /AT view 2. Now, whatever modeling view we create under content folder under package, AT view 2, all these views are stored under specific schema under column view folder with package name / view name. Now we can test here, right click and data preview. We can also test here, right click and data preview. Now if we double click, now my question is, if you want to change anything, where we do change in the content folder here, or we do in the catalog folder here. Let's say if I want to add any column or if I want to delete any column, do we perform in the content folder or do we perform in the catalog folder? So look here in the catalog folder, do we have any option to select or deselect or any change option here? So here only you can do preview the data, but here you can preview the data. At the same time, you can select or deselect or you can add. See, everything you can do. Now my question is again, if I want to change anything, where I can change? Can I change in content folder or catalog folder?
Content folder.
Yes, because content folder is used for both designing at the same time runtime. So content folder contains the design time and runtime objects. Means we can change as well as we can also test. But catalog folder contains only runtime objects. Means we only can test. We only can test catalog folder objects, but we can't change. So content folder contains design time and runtime objects. It contains, we can test at the same time we can also design in the content folder. But catalog folder contains only runtime objects. We can only test it, but we can't change it. We only can test it, but we can't change it. So that's the reason we say, that's the reason we can transport content folder objects, but we can't transport catalog folder objects. We will see the HANA modeling transportation in the next 2-3 classes. After 2-3 classes, we will discuss how to transport the HANA modeling or content folder objects. So even if you want to represent any HANA modeling view in ABAP, right, we represent through modeling view only like this. See, so right click and data preview, and we use select like select star from ATV like this. So for all these things you find in the document, HANA modeling document, and we can see here there are 3 types of views: attribute, analytical, calculation view, and whatever we discussed, right? Insufficient privileges not authorized, grant select on schema to user, to sys repo, data foundation. Everything we can find in this document. Now I am going to explain how to create attribute view on 2 tables. So before that, I want to check whatever we discussed till now. Is it clear, everyone? Any questions? Can you please give response in the chat box? Let me know if it is something is not clear. I can elaborate. Okay, now I am going to create an attribute view on 2 tables, then 3 tables. Here table 1, we have serial number name, serial number name. Now select the package, right click new attribute view, AT underscore view 3. Now subtype is standard. So let me drag table 1, let me drag table 2. So here, if you have 2 tables like this, definitely even if it is an ABAP program, if you want to select data from 2 tables, if you have two Excel sheets, if you have two Excel sheets or two worksheets, or if you have two tables, if you want to select data from two tables, or if you want to select data from two Excel sheets, or if you want to select data from two worksheets, whatever you want to do, what is needed? Let's say if you want to select few fields from one table and a few fields from another table, or if you want to combine two Excel sheets, what is the required? Exactly, common field, right? Common field. Common field in the sense you don't need the field names are exactly match. Field names may be different, but data should be same. We should have common data. So here, if I have table 1, table 2, if I want to select serial number here and name and department here, for example, we need to link common field. For that, you need to join. So one way is you just drag like this. Whatever, this is the common field, this is the common. If I want to remove, just right click and remove. Just drag this. If you want to remove, right click and remove. So one is just drag this, and if you don't want, right click and remove. Now another thing is just right click and create join. Now the left table is table 1 and the right table is table 2, and you just link serial number. And we have different types of joins here. So we are looking for inner join, for example. You select some join. We will discuss each and every join with example. So this is one way of joining. Let me explain you. You just put cursor here and right click remove. You just join here and double click and just choose inner join. That's it, done. That is one way. To delete, even you put the cursor here and use the delete button from the keyboard. Another way of joining is right click create join. Here you need to select the left table and you need to select the right table, and this serial number and this serial number you can join, or whatever fields you want, and choose the required join and click OK. So these are the two possible ways to do the join. Let me explain again. Right click, remove it. One way is just drag, double click and choose the required join. Another way is right click create join. Choose the table 1 field and choose the table 2 field and link this serial number and this serial number and choose the join type inner. So this is one way. Whatever fields you want, select. Now you can see those here. Now save and activate. But there is again an error. Anyone can tell me what is this error and have we got this error before? Why this error is coming now? First I want to understand what is this error. Why this error is appeared. Yeah. Are you able to see this screen, guys? Is it clear my question? I am asking what is this error? So the error is saying no central table found, no attribute has been specified as a key. We did not get this error when we created only one table. We are getting this error because we have two tables. No central table found or no attribute has been specified as a key means if we have more than one table, we should identify which is the central table. So you can identify any one of these field. It means whatever field it contains, that table is a central table. Whatever field it contains, that table is a central table. So whatever field it contains, that table is the central table. You can select any one of these fields. You can select any one of these fields. You can select any one of these fields. It means that whatever field is selected, it is a central table, it is a main table. Now let me activate. Now activation successful and we are able to see the data. But what we need to understand here is there is a question like what is the prerequisite or mandatory to create attribute view on more than one table. But because this is generic to attribute view, because if you create analytical view on more than one table, you don't have this error like no field is specified as a key, no central table found. Even when you create attribute view or analytical view on more than one table, even you don't choose the key, you don't get this error. Only you get this error when you create attribute view on more than one table. So this is only specific to attribute view. When we create attribute view on more than one table, at least one field should be identified as a key or one table should be identified as a central table. This is a prerequisite or mandatory to create any attribute view on more than one table. It's only for specific to attribute view, not generic. But whatever we discussed before, that was generic. When we create any modeling view, whether it is attribute view or analytical view or calculation view, sys report should have authorization on the schema, grant select with grant option. Sys report should have authorization on the schema, grant select with grant option. That is generic, whether you create attribute view or analytical view or calculation view. So the question is, what is the prerequisite or mandatory to create any modeling view? Sys report should have authorization on the schema, grant select with grant option. Now another one is, what is the prerequisite or mandatory to create attribute view on more than one table? Anyone can answer my question? So please read the HANA modeling documentation as an assignment, whatever we discussed so far. This is your assignment for tomorrow. I will ask all questions. Now my question is, what is the prerequisite or mandatory to create attribute view on more than one table? Anyone can answer?
Select a key field and also select the
At least
main
one
table.
field should be identified as a key. At least one field should be identified as a key. It means that this table is identified as a central table. So I'm stopping for today. Tomorrow we will discuss all the different joins with examples, and then we do attribute view on three tables and other things in attribute view. Okay. So I'm stopping for today. If you have any questions, let me know. Is it clear? Okay, thank you very much. Have a nice day.